was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose.
A new storm has erupted in Congress as lawmakers move to censure Representative Ilhan Omar, following a wave of controversy over her alleged remarks about Somalia. According to reports, Omar appeared to suggest loyalty to Somalia over the United States, a statement that has ignited sharp accusations of divided allegiance. For many, this moment is about more than one speech. It's about the integrity of the oath every member of Congress takes, a promise to uphold the U.S. Constitution without reservation or conflicting loyalty. Critics say Omar's alleged comments represent not simply poor phrasing, but a breach of public trust that calls into question her sworn duty to the nation. On the House floor, members emphasize that the oath of office is not ceremonial. It binds every lawmaker to serve one nation, one constitution, and one people, without divided purpose or foreign influence. Omar's alleged pledge to safeguard Somalia's interests, they argue, runs counter to that responsibility. As debate grows, one thing is clear. Even perception of dual loyalty can shake the very foundation of America's sovereignty.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A.1 of Rule 9, I seek recognition to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows.
Recognized.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Whereas elected members of Congress take an oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the United States without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince.
The resolution now before Congress accuses Representative Ilhan Omar of making statements that, if true, could redefine the boundaries of political allegiance. The document alleges that Omar promised to ensure the United States would act in line with the interests of Somali Americans, and that Somalia's sovereignty would remain protected as long as she held office. To her critics, these are not casual remarks. They amount to a deliberate commitment to advance a foreign nation's priorities from within the halls of American government. Supporters of the resolution insist that no lawmaker can claim allegiance to another country while entrusted with the authority of the U.S. Congress. During debate, lawmakers reached back to history, invoking George Washington's 1796 farewell address. In that speech, the first president warned against divided loyalties and pretended patriotism, urging citizens to place their full devotion in America alone. More than 2 centuries later, those words echo with new urgency. Many now point to Omar's alleged comments as a modern example of the very danger Washington foresaw. Elected leaders serving under one flag while speaking for another.
Potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements. Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia.
The proposed resolution outlines firm consequences. It calls for Representative Omar to be formally censured and stripped of her roles on key committees, including the Budget Committee and the Education and Workforce Committee. Lawmakers behind the measure argue that anyone accused of prioritizing foreign interests should not be shaping America's fiscal policy or educational agenda. This is not, they say, a matter of political rivalry. It is a matter of national integrity. Allowing a representative with alleged conflicting loyalties to remain in powerful committee positions could, in their view, compromise decisions that affect generations of Americans. Supporters of the resolution frame the issue as one of national security rather than partisanship. Loyalty to the United States they assert, cannot be divided or conditional. To ignore such allegations, they warn, would set a precedent that weakens Congress itself. Allowing lawmakers to swear allegiance to the Constitution in words while serving other interests in practice.
Whereas Representative Omar continued, for as long as I am in U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. Whereas George Washington warned in his farewell address of 1796 to guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism, and further declared citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations.
Omar's critics have been careful to make one distinction clear. This debate, they insist, is not about heritage or identity. It's about allegiance. Pride in one's roots, they say, is an American strength. But when that pride evolves into advocacy for another nation's interests, it crosses a constitutional line. The resolution supporters argue that members of Congress carry a singular duty to protect the U.S. Constitution and the sovereignty it represents. The controversy surrounding Omar has become a test of that principle. Can an elected official truly serve two masters? Or must loyalty to America remain absolute? If approved, the censure would be a rare and highly visible act, requiring Omar to stand publicly before the House as lawmakers deliver their condemnation. It's a symbolic but powerful reminder that divided loyalties have consequences. For many, this moment is about safeguarding public faith in government itself. Without confidence that representatives serve the nation above all else, the credibility of Congress and democracy begins to erode.
Whereas these statements by Representative Omar clearly violate the oath she took as an elected member of Congress to defend and protect the United States Constitution. Whereas Representative Omar has exhibited the treasonous tendencies George Washington warned about, and her actions must be condemned by all members of Congress who adhere to the oath they took upon assuming office. And whereas by openly admitting her efforts to advance Somalia's interest using her position as a United States representative, Representative Omar has revealed herself to be a foreign agent acting on behalf of a foreign government. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee of the Budget and the Committee on Education and the Workforce.
Beyond the question of one representative, the Omar controversy raises a broader and more unsettling concern: the growing reach of foreign influence in American politics. Lawmakers and analysts warn that global powers often seek subtle footholds in U.S. policymaking, and divided allegiance inside Congress would grant them direct access to the heart of American decision-making. Omar's alleged remarks, in which she appeared to position herself as Somalia's defender within the U.S. system, have become a vivid example of how outside priorities could be advanced from within. Critics say this is precisely why the issue transcends party lines. It is about protecting the nation's sovereignty from the inside out. At its core, the debate forces America to revisit a fundamental question: what does it truly mean to take the oath of office? That promise is not symbolic. It's a binding declaration of loyalty to the United States, to serve under one flag, guided by one constitution. If that oath loses its meaning, the bond between the governed and their representatives begins to fracture. While Omar supporters maintain her words were misinterpreted or politicized, critics counter that intent matters less than impact. When a lawmaker's statement appears to elevate a foreign cause above the American people, they say action must be taken. For supporters of censure, the measure is not about silencing speech, but about reaffirming a principle that America's leaders must serve the nation exclusively. In their eyes, this moment is a modern test of patriotism in a global age, a reaffirmation of Washington's centuries-old warning that the name American must come first.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A.1 of Rule 9, I seek recognition to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows.
Recognized.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Whereas elected members of Congress take an oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the United States without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements. Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia.
The controversy surrounding Representative Ilhan Omar has reignited deep divisions in Congress after lawmakers introduced a formal resolution to censure her. The uproar stems from reports that Omar made statements suggesting loyalty to Somalia over the United States, remarks that critics say strike at the heart of the oath every lawmaker swears. For those calling for accountability, the issue extends beyond political disagreement. It's about whether elected officials can faithfully serve the Constitution while appearing to champion another nation's cause. On the House floor, lawmakers reminded their colleagues in the country that their oath demands true faith and allegiance to the United States, without hesitation or conflicting ties. To Omar's opponents, her alleged comments promising to defend Somalia's interests from within the U.S. government are in direct conflict with that promise. They argue that even the perception of divided loyalty can weaken America's credibility abroad and unity at home. The stakes, they warn, could not be higher. When allegiance is uncertain, the sovereignty of the nation itself is placed at risk.